say before about the Aries energy is the cardinal energy, which makes it the energy of leadership, it's the energy of royalty. Okay, the actual initiation of that. With I kind of gave this to me. We have first the water, and what we have to do is conquer or master the water level, which is our emotional level. Okay, and that's also at a higher vibration. We're talking about the soul level. Okay, and then the next level we have to conquer, which is demonstrated right here. That's the water. This is demonstrated right here is the water. As above, so below. This is representing the below, and this is the above, and how energy unfolds or manifests itself. And this is the water that we're looking at, which comes from the water here in this part of the pyramid. The next level that we have to conquer is the air, which is the mental level. We have to master that. And the mental level is where we get in touch with the spirit. Okay, at the higher level, it's the spiritual level, where we deal with our spirit energy. Okay, and then the third level we conquer is the fire, and that's what I'm trying to get to now, is the fire energy. Now, fire energy deals with our passions, and it deals with the divinity level. This is where we access our magic at. This is where we access our power at, in the fire energy.
Yeah, so what she's saying is, which is the truth, is that the fire is the motor for all living on this earth and in the underworld. And it has cleansing and transformative powers. And it connects all living beings to the higher levels of existence. Okay? So these higher beings take care of the lower beings. That's how it's supposed to be. Okay? That's how it's supposed to be.
And then the final level we deal with will be the earth level. And see, we've got it backwards. We're living the earth or material level, and then we're trying to force spirit to deal on our level with us. So we have to turn it around now, and like I said, conquer the water, conquer the air, and then conquer the fire. And then after you've conquered those three levels, then is when it makes the physical manifestation in the earth level, you see. And when we're dealing with the water, we're dealing with our emotions. When we're dealing with the air, we're dealing with how we think, our peace of mind. When we're dealing with the fire, like I said, we're dealing with our passions. And then when we're dealing with the earth level, there has to be value, okay? And when you put all that together, that's when you manifest your power. That's when the magic comes through. But it has to be an action of integrity. Has to be an action with character in order to manifest in that physical reality, you see. I just wanted to kind of give you that that information here. Like I said, the soul is the water, that's the mother. The spirit is the air, that's like the daughter. And then the earth, that's like the crystallization, and that's the father. And then the fire is the power. And so you see that's like the below or the earth, and the red is like the fire or the power, connecting it up with the universal whole. And then the fifth element is the ether around that.
Right. And what she's saying, the fifth element is also like what 5D would be like. Okay? 5D would be like the ether. The Chinese call it wood. The Merkaba is like the same type of symbolic content.
Which is a conductor for that, you see. That's how we manifest our power. Now, so the Aries energy, the fire, as I said, this is where we...
So she's going to talk about Mars and Marduk, or Jason or Horus and Christ, same beings. Jason, Ja's son, Horus, Horizon, Christ, Crystal.
Tap into our magic at. This is where we get, the reason we're focusing on Jason and Horus is because these are where our heroes come from, you see. These are the ones that have to perform miraculous feats in order to conquer the things that would keep us in the illusion, in the physical reality.
See what I'm saying? See what I just said? Like the when you enter into these upper dimensions and you're now with divine presence, and some call them, ascended masters, whatever. It doesn't, that, I hate that. It's now, this is the hero's journey. This is how you conquer, the physical, how you conquer. This is stuff that I'm figuring out. I'm not there.
You see. So, this is where we stand up, with Aries representing the spiritual warrior. This is where we stand up and make our claim, to
So as you see, she said warrior. So Mars is God of war. Okay? The Lord said in the Bible, Lord God is a man of war, God of war. Okay? Yeah, so that's Mars upside down means war. And Mars is really the red dragon.
master the spiritual warriorship to claim the rulership, you see, which is the Aries or the next fire sign that it would connect up to, you see. All the same elements are going to be in harmony with one another. So not only does the Aries get highlighted, but the Leo, which is the other fire sign, and the Sagittarius, which is the third fire sign, they all get highlighted also, you see. So when we step up and make our claim, to our power, which is what the Aries is what we're doing, you see, that empowers us to step up to our rulership in the Leo. And then in the Sagittarius, this is spiritual wisdom and expansion, you see. So
yeah, so the fire, the conductor, connects all living beings, especially the fire of the sun or the wheel, which you just see, which she's showing. It connects all living beings to higher existence, not just some, all.
I wanted to read you a little bit about Jason so you can get an idea. Before, I did a lecture here which was called The Symbolism That They Did Not Want Us to See. And in this lecture, I talked about Hercules. And I identified Hercules as symbolic of the Aries energy, but it's the lowest manifestation. This is about the man of strength, which is actually...
Yeah, Hercules is also Heru, as you see it. So, Heru had to defeat Set. Okay, just like, whatever it may be, Jesus had to defeat death. Jesus being Jay's son, Josh's son, God's son. Yeah, and Hercules being like Samson in a way. And Samson being definitely a story of Jesus.
Actually representing the white man, okay, who controlled the gods, in other words. And we talked about how he had to go through this twin gateway in order to shut down the apocalyptic feminine energy, you see. So I got all this, I tied all this into Aaliyah, the 911, and all of this, and how it relates to the white man and Hercules going through that twin gateway. And in that, I was talking about Hercules being a symbolic of the Aries energy at its lowest manifestation, but then Jason being the higher manifestation of that Aries energy, which actually represented us. So I'm going to, it says here, we come now to the myth for Aries, Both are solar, heroic stories about young, naive, independent, supremely confident heroes. In the first story, Hercules learns the importance of turning to his friend Mercury, his esoteric ruler. In the second story, Jason, he learns the need to acknowledge at least the principles of Eros, child of goddess Aphrodite, if not also the need to sacrifice his restless independence to Eros and settle down with a mate, you see. So the Jason story is more about settling down. The Hercules story was about shutting down, the sacrifice his restless independence to Eros and settle down with a mate, you see. So the Jason story is more about settling down. The Hercules story was about shutting down the reality, going through the twin gateways when we're talking about illusions versus reality. Reality, of course, is spirituality, and the physical is the illusion. And so the Hercules, or the white man, wants to keep the illusion intact, so that the spiritual reality does not manifest itself. So that is the Hercules story. But now we're moving to the Jason story, where it's about how do we fulfill the prophecy, you see, the prophecy of the return, of the ancient ones, you see, because that's who we are. And this is the story that Jason is going to represent for us, okay? It says, Jason's quest for the solar treasure, the golden fleece, and the throne that is his birthright. It says Jason is looking.
Also, like the golden fleece is like the coat that Joseph wore. Joseph also being symbolic for Christ.
For the golden fleece. It says, however, like most of us, he is not aware in the beginning of how difficult the quest for this fleece will be. He sets out with his 11 trusted friends on behalf of his uncle, and from whom the fleece had been stolen, to retrieve it from.
Now notice how the Bible takes this, and it's the same story. It's the same concept here. With the coat, Joseph's coat, they found Joseph's coat with goat's blood. Blah 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 blah. He had 11 friends. Joseph said the 11 stars, all the stars will pay, homage to me.
Greece. He lands in Colchis and discovers that the rumors were correct, that the
We'll pay you to get your CDL. And
discovers that the rumors were correct, that the fleece is there under guard. But the king of Colchis has no intentions of parting with such a treasure, but he is too old to fight Jason personally and does not want to lose faith. Instead, he offers Jason a task. Do the impossible, and I will certainly and willingly yield the fleece. The task is to harness 2 fire-breathing bulls to a plow made of dragon's teeth and sow a field. However, as soon as Jason would finish sowing, the dragon's teeth would spring forth as warriors ready to kill him in the defense of the fleece. Since this is an Ares myth, and Ares often attempts what others would consider impossible, Jason, participating in the archetype, says, of course I can do it. And the king of Colchis thought this task likely to discourage our young hero and cause him to lose interest in the quest. Of course, a hero does not appreciate delay, and Jason does have a temporary bout of faint-heartedness. This is not a problem. Mars can solve in its own style independently. It goes on to say that he prays for an ally. He prays to the goddess of love, Aphrodite, and she sends him Medea, who is like a witch, you see. And the witch comes in, and she has a vial of oil which she pours on the dragon's teeth as Jason finishes plowing so that the teeth will not become warriors. Together, the two complete the task for the king, and theoretically, the golden fleece is now Jason's. However, life is full of complications, and Jason discovered that he still has to fight a pitched battle against Medea's father. By the end of the story, When Jason, his friends, and Medea sail off with the golden fleece, Medea feels that she has been betrayed. She has betrayed her family. Her aid to Jason has resulted in the death of her father, the brother, her cousin, and her use of soothing oil has resulted in violence. And then it talks about how when Jason he falls in love with another lady, okay, after the battle has been won. And he tells Medea that she is expendable, and he is now in love with the princess of Corinth. And she shrieks, after all what I've done for you, I've betrayed my family and my country, after all the blood on my hands because of helping you. And he says logically, oh no, I don't owe you anything. It's the goddess who helped me, Aphrodite, answered my prayer by sending you along and making you fall in love with me. It's Aphrodite who aided me, not some mere mortal sorceress. Thus was the end of the story. Medea was feeling vindictive and vengeful. And this was the beginning of her evolution into a terrible mother who would one day devour her own children, you see. So this is the story of him, the golden fleece. There's another story in here that has to do with Jason trying to gain the golden fleece. And I wanted to read this part because in it says, have you guys heard about Jason and the 50 Argonauts? Have you ever seen? I'm surprised at how many people have not heard this. Yeah. Yeah, the movie probably been on 1,000 times, the dragon's teeth, and you'll see them come up, and the skeletons come up. Yeah, that's Jason. That's the Jason story and the 50 Argonauts, okay? And it says here, it says Jason and the Argonauts, the hero Jason,
astronauts,
wishes to search for the golden fleece, which is known to be a solar symbol. It says...
this is also like Marduk and the Tablets of Destiny. Also, could be like, maybe it could be possibly the coat, the special coat, I guess, like, the coat of skins on a human, maybe to achieve their light body.
The hero, his teeth are the teeth of a dragon. And in the Jason story, the hero Jason sews the dragon's teeth. It says the 50 companions are mentioned several times. It says in fragmentary text, it is extremely broken and confused. Further light on it of sewing the dragon's teeth seemed to come from a passage where Jason, who has for some unknown reason been asleep, has awakened, girded himself, stood like a bull on the great earth, and he put his mouth to the ground, and his teeth shook. And that's when these armies stood up. Now, it says for some reason Jason had been asleep, okay? And I see that as us, you see, asleep, you see. And now he's trying to wake up, you see. It all leads back into, we go on to where when he gets the golden fleece and his 50 companions, and, it leads us up to the story where we're talking about him getting on a boat, and they call this the celestial ship, you see. So the story is all about Jason waking up, and I'm still trying to make sense of what this dragon teeth symbolizes, you see. Bones or teeth, you see, and that is what he throws into the ground, and the ground shakes, and this huge army raises up, to defend, in his defense, you see, to help him gain control of the fleece. And once he gains control of the fleece, then they can go and they can move. This group of 50 is related to some oarsmen in a celestial boat. And then what they do is connect the celestial boat to like the Ark of Noah. And it is the same concept, which is identical with that of the Ark of Noah, which is a magical ship in which sit those who came out of the womb, in the sense that they repopulate the world after the great deluge, okay? And the deluge, we're talking about the great flood, okay, in the sense of Noah. But if you want to equate that to today, we're looking at this representing Aries or Jason, the energy, because remember we're talking energies. We're just giving them characteristics so we can understand the story. Now, Jason representing the Aries energy and attached to the Libra energy. This is where the Christ energy comes in at. Opposite signs are really the same
That's why my wife is a Libra.
signs. They're just demonstrating opposite sides of the picture. One's demonstrating the physical side and one's demonstrating the spiritual side. So we're talking about a physical warriorship, you see, which brings us to the spiritual Christ in the Libra energy, which is the opposite of the Aries. We're talking about the Christ. Now, as we make our claim and gain, the right to the golden fleece, or the rulership, the solar rulership, then we have to use the spirit, or it brings us to the spirit, or connecting with our Christ energy, okay, which is the Libra energy, and this represents the Christ energy. Now, the next sign after that is Scorpio, which is the great deluge, or what they're talking about, the flood, in relations to the flood after Noah's Ark, you see. This is the flood that's going. Once we fight for our spiritual warriorship, which is putting these two together, you see, then that gives us the great crossover in the Scorpio energy, which is that water or that flood or that deluge, which takes us into the Sagittarius energy, which is what we call the great creative place, you see. And
Right. So the water flows through this underworld, representing the subconscious and the dream world and the primordial beginning. Right? So after Noah left, this family came out of the ark, it was a new beginning.
I did a lecture. My first lecture that I did here, I was talking about, I brought up the Mayans calendar of 2012, when this gateway is supposed to open up on December 21st, 2012, you see. And this is what that is symbolizing, that gateway that opens up in 2012. And this is us bringing our Christ, or getting in touch with our spirit energy after we have made our personal claim, you see, as warriors for this in the Aries energy. And then making that great crossover through that Scorpio energy, which is the transformation. Scorpio represents the transformation, and that's the passageway over onto the, and then as we move into the Sagittarius, they call that, the Mayans called it the great creative place, you see. Because Sagittarius, its energy is ruled by the planet Jupiter, which is actually representing, abundance or expansion, or where you gain your fortune at. And this is what they call the great creative place. In 2012, December 21st is when this gateway is supposed to open, and it's reflected in the Milky Way. You see how that great crossover is going to take us over to the creative place, which they identify as the Sagittarius energy, you see. So it all starts here in the Aries energy, which becomes the warrior for justice, or for harmony, or for peace, or for getting in harmony with our spirit, you see. And when we're talking about the collective spirit, we're talking about getting in harmony with the Christ spirit, you see. That is going to be the only thing that's going to lead us to over this transformation, or the Scorpio water, to the great creative.
Your name is Dr. Ben.